Hello.
Hello, Steve.
The timing was perfect. I went in and then put a new battery on my camera, and it's rolling again.
So is your weather down there pretty decent tonight?
It's amazing. I guess we're not getting the same weather as you, even though we're in the Southwest. It's I'm seeing little microbursts and things around the valley, but right here where I live, it is just phenomenal. It's no wind. The temperature is perfect. I'm still wearing my khaki shorts and my T-shirt. So I wish I could send a little bit of that your way to Salt Lake City, because I have spent time there too, and I know how cold it can get.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I wear shorts even in the middle of winter, but it's not too bad at all. But it's changing today. Really, right now it's kind of raining on and off, but it's still 64 degrees. It's not bad by any means. But boy, it's got that fall feel in the air for sure. But it's winter. Winter is definitely around the corner. We were talking a little bit. Let's pick back up again before we had the news break. Oh, we were talking about. You were mentioning about filming and helicopters showing up and
Yeah,
going out to a location that you enjoy filming at, and we had to stop there. But let's go ahead and pick back
yeah,
up.
yeah. So anyway, I had told only one person on the telephone that I was going. So anyway, I was out there. I told you I filmed some daytime footage showing the terrain, showing where I was going to be filming that night, hoping that these things are going to show up and that I'm going to get some nice close-up footage. But at the same time, suspecting I might not, because I had already had the notion that if you get too close, you're not going to see them. So anyway, Pat, I'm out there. It's pitch black. I'm the only one out there. There had been some four-wheelers out there earlier, but they had all packed up and gone. I had my tripod set up, and I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting, and nothing. I'm not seeing anything, which is very unusual because it's usually active. I have my camera on that spot this very minute filming things. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden, the lights on my car start flashing, and I hear my door lock. And I thought, oh, you know how it is where you'll set off your alarm by touching the
Sure.
wrong button. I thought that maybe I was, that I might have pressed the button in my pocket on my my keys. So anyway, I get my keys out, I unlock it, I put my keys back in my pocket. Within 10 or 15 seconds, it did it again. And then I thought, what? So I did the same thing. I unlocked it, put the keys back. It did that 4 times, and then in less than 5 minutes. So after 4 times, I got my keys out, I unlocked it again, and I just flattened out my palm and laid my keys in my palm, and I'm just looking at it. It did it again, 5 times in less than 5 minutes, and I now I'm starting to get creeped out because that was a 2011 Elantra that my wife had. We have since then traded it in, but to that point, that car had never done that before, and it never did that again after. And my feeling is that somebody really didn't want me there and made sure that they put a good enough of a spook into me that I would leave. I actually stuck around about 20 more minutes and nothing. I didn't see anything at all. And I decided, this is creepy. I'm not seeing anything. I'm going to get in the car and just go home. So I packed everything up. I got in the car, and I have to say, when the car started rolling and it would start,
Right.
I was very relieved, and even more relieved to get on the freeway. But I thought, I'm going to speed home. I'm going to walk in the door and walk out the back door and set my camera up and aim it right to this spot. And that's what I did, and I have this all on video. Got out here, and just like always, there was activity going on right there in that spot.
Wow.
So, it kind of helped confirm my belief that that cloaking really is very real. I mean, I think cloaking is being experimented with even now, that's being admitted to. But, this reverse engineering, I think that we've probably had it for a long, long time. And I've come to the conclusion that it not only does it works very well, especially when you're up close, because it occurred to me that night while I was out there that may be happening. And so I did two things. I mean, one was just standing there trying to look up, looking anywhere I could in the sky to see if there was anything that was like a distortion, a wave, a heat wave, anything like that. And then I even got my phone camera out, because I know I've even had times where I've caught UFOs on my digital camera that I never saw. And was looking through there, didn't see anything. But as soon as I got home, there they were. They were there. And just like they are tonight, I'll send you a link to the video I shot tonight, just showing. I got some before we even started talking. But it's pretty amazing, and I've also come to the conclusion that the reason that I can film these, it isn't because they're allowing me to do it. It's because I think cloaking has a limit on how far away it really works well. Mm-hmm. So if you can get 5 or 6 miles, 7 miles away, you probably have a chance of filming them. If you're 20 miles away, I think you can see all of them. Because that's why I have so many videos.
Let me ask you, with the cloaking, have you ever seen one kind of appear and then disappear? I mean, have you seen some sort of a cloak device engaged at all?
I can't actually say it that way. I just posted a video yesterday. It was just some extra clips that I had over a 4-night period that went on for hours, and I edited it and kept the best parts in, and just deleted the bad parts. But right. There's an area over here near the Air Force Base where I call it the Dark Sentinels. These objects that come in, that fly in and out, they appear and disappear out of nowhere. Now, did I see them actually, like in the movies, appear or disappear? No, I'm watching them from a long way away. But for the last 18 months, I've got numerous videos of them showing up out of nowhere, and when they leave, they go nowhere. It's almost as if they're coming in through some kind of portal or stargate or dimensional rift, or who knows what it is. But you never see them come or go when they leave this area. Initially, early on, I thought that they were actually turning off their navigation lights, and that's they were doing that to avoid being seen from the freeway. Well, I'll be darned if I didn't figure out that I found these 3 large invisible objects in the sky that routinely block out everything that goes through there. There's one where they appear, another one that they go through that's fairly large, and then a smaller one that they go through. And by then, now they're showing up pretty bright. But it's amazing, and I've been trying to get help, and slowly but surely the help is coming. I get a lot of advice. Well, you should do this, or you should do that, right. Or you should buy a FLIR camera, or you should, if I was rich, I'd have all that stuff already, and I'd be doing it. But right now, I am getting more help thanks to you guys, and getting the word out on the radio, and I have a friend down in Chandler, Arizona, who's been a big help. But little by little, I'm just documenting this. I'm not a conspiracy guy. I'm not blaming anybody or accusing anybody of anything. But when people come to me and say, this is impossible, this is airplanes, this is helicopters, I tell them, I've done my work. I've put in thousands of hours doing this, and I certainly wouldn't do that if these were explainable. So I've done my work. How about you prove to me that these are conventional aircraft? And my whole point is something unbelievable is going on right here in Nevada, and I'm sure it's going on all over the world, and we're being lied to, and nobody is telling us what these are. And it's not like they're 20 years ahead or 50 years ahead. The things I'm seeing and filming, I think, could be 100 years ahead or 1,000 years or even more ahead,
Right.
based on just some of the maneuvers and some of the things that I've seen them do. And I have it on video. And, you know, I've put out the word that I invite any true expert who has an open mind and is just ready to follow wherever it leads, to go ahead and analyze these videos and tell me what they are, you know, because I'm not a gullible guy. I was in the military, you know, I've seen aircraft. I live near, you know, Nellis Air Force Base, Creech Air Force Base. S4 and Area 51 are only 80 miles away.
Right.
And we even have now an alleged underground base here over at Blue Diamond, which is 6 miles away. If you look it up, Blue Diamond underground base is said to be a saucer base. And it doesn't surprise me, Pat, because you know, living in Salt Lake, that out here in the desert, once you get 10 miles out of town, you might as well be on Mars.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there are just literally hundreds of thousands of miles of open area that anything can do whatever it wants to do.
You know,
so yeah, I've come to believe that a lot of them actually even they live here. They're not visiting. They actually live here.
Let me ask you, when you to just reel back a little bit, when you were mentioning about being outside filming, and the helicopter appeared. Did it flash a light on you? Did it illuminate you? Could it? I'm just throwing some coulda, shouldas. You know, and could it have been a neighbor that thought maybe, you know, hey, there's Steve taking photos again of whoever? Do you think it could have maybe been called in on a complaint, or do you think it's just something that's keeping an eye on you?
You know, I mean, one thought is that it's coincidence, and that it you know, it just could happen. I mean, because I do see helicopters flying around all the time shining their spotlights down. It was definitely a helicopter shining a spotlight, but, you know, I didn't read too much into it. It did make me really wonder at the time, because I was actually filming a UFO, and that very same helicopter went to the exact location where the UFO was, which was, you know, probably a dozen miles away. I could see that helicopter go to that spot. So, yeah, you know, I don't know, but I'm a little surprised that there hasn't been more interference. I've always said that if I'm doing something that is harming our national security, then, you know, give me a call. Explain to me what you're doing and why I shouldn't be doing that, and I will accommodate you. You know, it's like I said, I'm a vet. I'm a patriotic guy. You know, I'm not a conspiracy guy, although I do think that ever since Roswell, that this stuff has systematically been hidden from us, and that some of this reverse engineering, you know, Philip Corso talks about, night vision and fiber optics and, you know, transistors and things like that. Those are all pretty cool. We got some neat stuff out of that, but to me, that might be the bottom of it, and that the really cool stuff is still being hidden. Yeah, because it's so cool and it's so amazing. I don't know. I don't know if we're ever going to really get the full truth.
Yeah.
You know, disclosure to me is probably already happening in a way, coming out in little drips and drops. But at the same time, I think the best stuff is never going to come out unless it has to, you know. I know there's people who believe that eventually it's going to all have to come out, and I suppose that's true. But, you know, being a guy who's 61 years old, I don't expect that to happen in my lifetime. I wish it would, because to me it's the most fascinating topic in the universe. That, not only are we not alone, but there's a lot of other people or species that are here monitoring what we're doing to this planet.
Right.
And some of them may be good, and some of them may not be so good.
No, I totally agree. Well, we were talking on the phone the other night a little bit. A guest that I had on the show a couple of years ago was Jeffrey Gonzalez from Sanger Paranormal. And Jeff is a huge UFO hunter, and if people want to hear the interview, it was a good interview. Jeff's a talker. He can go for a long time, but he lives in the Fresno area, works for, I believe, AT&T, or did at the time. And on his, this is his own personal money, had a big van that he built, put a lot of video cameras and photograph stuff on there, and he published a number with a 24-hour line that you could call. If you, in the Fresno area, if you see a UFO, something unique, give us a call. He'd jump up at 3 in the morning, go take pictures of it, And as I mentioned, and he told this story, in the mountains there in the Fresno area, one night him and his family, they were barbecuing or cooking out on the porch, and his son saw this triangular craft fly overhead and actually crashed up in the mountains. Saw it go in, saw smoke, not flames, but smoke billowing out all over. And they jumped in their van and tried to head up toward it, and they were actually blocked off by the military about halfway up, and grabbed some photos, actually. And as Jeffrey mentioned, for weeks and weeks and weeks, had a white van parked out in front of his house, constantly, morning, noon, and night. Would leave, another one with different people would show up, just sat there morning, noon, and night. And kind of like, maybe it was just coincidence, Steve, but like the night you caught something and the helicopter shows up on scene. It's something had to trigger that more so than a guy in a populated area like Las Vegas with a camera out on his patio would do. I mean, there's got to be a little bit more to it.
Yeah, well, I was glad I got at least the last time on video. But, I'm aware of that case that you just now mentioned. I saw that. I forget exactly which show it was I did see that on, but that was very creepy. And I've thought of that kind of thing happening to me, but it just hasn't seemed to happen. And I wish I knew more, Pat. I've always been into UFOs, but I wouldn't say that I was ever obsessed.
Right.
It was just something that I found to be really fascinating, but I wasn't out reading all the books and knowing who all, Dr. Greer and all these people are. I mean, I'm learning real fast now.
Sure.
I'm learning real fast, but still my top priority right now is just to be out here documenting all of this. Because even though the videos, some people would say, well, they're just lights in the sky, or they could be this, or they could be that. Many of these videos are over the top, and I defy anybody to give me a plausible explanation as to what they really are, And I try to tell people in my Facebook group, they're not always fantastic. UFO sightings and videos, sometimes they can actually even be boring. Right. There's nothing really that exciting about filming a UFO 20 miles away. It's one light in the sky, just sitting there hovering and drifting along very slowly. But that's the reality. You never know what you're going to get. And the thing that really motivates me is that once you think you've seen it all, something new happens.
Oh, exactly.
And it's those new things that just keep you motivated to come out. And I remember after seeing the second one, and all three of those reports I made, by the way, from Vegas to MUFON came back as unidentified. They were 5%ers, the ones they can't explain. But, what just really motivated me was after that second one, it was very close. I saw it, what it did. It actually scared me. It was so close. Within a half mile, and then it reversed direction, came my way. I thought it was coming towards me, and then it went back to where it was going. But after that happened, and after filing the report and having it come back as an unknown, which I knew it was, I thought, you know what? If this can happen once, then it can definitely happen again, and it will happen. And if I'm out here and I put in the time, I might be here to catch it when it comes next time. And next time, I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to have a real good camera. I'm going to have a tripod. It's not going to be all shaky and blurry or out of focus. I'm going to be ready for it. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Well, I'd say all your videos, I've watched quite a few of them. And again, for people listening, if you want to go check out the YouTube channel with all the stuff we're talking about, Steve's website is called UFOsintheusa.com. He's got a YouTube link on there to his YouTube channel, and there's just a ton of amazing stuff. And it's not just your little typical dot in the sky flying across the sky. I mean, you've captured crazy activity. I mean, crazy activity.
It's astonishing. It doesn't meet my ideas of what UFOs were going to be. After being a guy that just used to watch them on television, these are much different. And, that's another thing I'm trying to do is educate some of the people in my Facebook group, that's also called UFOs in the USA, is that they don't always look like the stuff that you see on some of these fake UFO channels. Those, you just don't see those. I always use the example of there's one of a UFO blowing up a Taliban camp. It has millions and millions of views. All of my videos put together don't even have 1 million views because, unfortunately, even intelligent people get caught up in the Hollywood-style stuff. And they want to see, a really classic-shaped UFO doing something incredible, The reality is that's not what they always do.
Right.
It is incredible, though, when you see 10 UFOs flying along so close to each other that you can barely see a space between them. So it's just fascinating to me. I can't think of doing anything else at night. I don't even know what kind of TV shows are on at night anymore. It's not interesting to me. This is the most fascinating thing in the world. And people can think what they want. I mean, I get accused of filming helicopters and airplanes and, quadcopters and automobiles. And what these people don't realize is this is Vegas. I see more air traffic, regular air traffic, than I see UFOs. I see, in an hour's time, I could see 30 helicopters running up and down the Las Vegas Strip.
Right.
Or airplanes coming into land full of tourists. Or, just regular, private aircraft flying around. And they don't fool me,
Yeah. You've seen it. You've seen enough of it. You know the difference.
Yeah. And sometimes the lights from them are almost good enough where even in a town like Las Vegas, when you see a light or two lights in the sky that are brighter than anything in town, that's a pretty good hint that you might have something special going on.
Right. Again, some of the videos are just like I said, they're just crazy amazing. They're fun to watch. Let me throw a few more questions at you that were sent in for us. One question is, Steve said, do you think that the pyramid UFOs or triangular UFOs are really three orbs or three little lights and not a real triangular craft? And have you ever filmed or seen a triangular craft?
I think early on I thought I caught what might be a little triangle going over, and I was holding my camera with my hand, so it's kind of shaky. And what happened is when it got directly over my head, my body is already contorted trying to just keep it in the screen, and all of a sudden it appeared to change into a triangle. And it was bizarre. It, once again, didn't conform to anything that I had ever thought of or heard of before, because from the back end of the triangle to the front light on the triangle seemed to be a little flashing star that was orbiting as it's flying the triangle from back to front. That video didn't turn out real great because, if I can now, I always use my tripod if possible. I would think that there's both kinds. I would think that they travel in formations like that, and I would think that, that there are actual triangles that are solid crafts. I don't see any reason why not. If you just look around in your city, how many different kinds of automobiles and trucks and trains and buses, there's no reason why, people that are flying these things wouldn't have different sizes and different shapes. Triangles, to me, though, and this is just a guess, it seems like they're more of a new phenomenon, and that's something that we've heard of mostly in the last 30 or 40 years, maybe not even that long of a period, and that maybe triangles have a lot to do with humans. But I don't know. I want to always make it clear that I am just this ordinary guy that got into this perfect storm of circumstances that allows me to do this. And so my way of thinking is that all I am doing is providing and documenting on video the things that I see and let people make their own choices up. If I were to guess, I would say that some of the stuff that I'm filming would be man-made, but maybe that the technology from it might have come from extraterrestrials. Mm-hmm. And that maybe once in a while around this valley, when I'm not filming anywhere near an Air Force base, that I might just be catching some ETs that have probably been here longer than us. I can think of at least 5 or 6 locations around this valley where I see repeat visitors. And I hate using the word visitors because I don't know if they're visiting. I honestly think they live here and that they may have been here doing these rituals or routines longer than the city has been here, and that we have encroached on their territory, not them encroaching on ours.
Right.
And that's just my feeling. And like I said, I've been doing this for 18 months every night possible. But that's just my feeling. I'm not any closer to being an expert than anybody. It's just that I feel honored that I have a chance to come out and actually do this and see some of this stuff with my own eyes.
But you're learning as you do it. I'm sure you're picking up things. It's like anything. Practice makes perfect. Whether it's sitting there letting the cameras record or whatever, you start to learn what's real and what's not real and what looks fake and what's a possibility. And that's just part of the learning process. I know that you know Bill Forte real well, and some of the other guys that are doing the sky watching. I actually have a camera system that I'm going to set up, especially after seeing the activity that I saw here in Salt Lake the other night, a couple weeks ago now. I've got to get something set up to at least capture it. I'm not going to do infrared. I'm just going to do a high def cam up on up my roof where I can run the cabling down and let turn it on and off as I need to. Because again, these are amazing things. I wish the night that I saw the 7 whatever they were join and then disperse. I have no idea what they were. Erica Lukes, who again is the MUFON director, I actually called her when it was happening. And she's like, well, grab your camera. I was like, if I would have shot it with my cell phone, all you would have saw was, you wouldn't have saw anything. It was just a little bit too high, and it was a little too amazing to stop watching it. That was the big thing, when you see something. All right, welcome back, everybody. Steve Barone from Las Vegas, our guest tonight. Steve, are you catching anything weird out there tonight or strange out there tonight?
I am. I'm on my second battery. It started before we even started talking, Pat. And can I do something real quick? I just want to thank you guys. I want to thank you, Bill Forte, Erica Lukes, and Jamie Havicon I've been doing this for 18 months, and I had come to the conclusion that everybody's afraid of what I'm doing. And I think the big part of that might have been that there might be a military aspect to that, and that they wanted to avoid that like the plague. And you don't know how heartwarming it is for me to finally have somebody who stepped up to the plate and is allowing me to talk about this stuff. It's amazing. And I want to just give one more shout out, and that's to my Facebook group. I have administrators and members who are behind me all the way, regardless of the fact that a lot of people might think this is impossible. I can come outside on almost any day, and if I put in enough hours, I'm going to see something. Not every day, but most days. Tonight is another example. I will send you a link to the video that I assembled tonight. It's going to have some amazing footage. And once again, I defy anybody to explain it to me. But you guys are awesome. I've become friends with everybody. Erica, she blows me away. I wish the state director for MUFON in Nevada was like Erica, because she has an open mind and she's not judgmental. And that's very important to me. I might have thought this was impossible 5 years ago, but everything has changed. When somebody tells me something now, no matter how far out it seems, I'm not going to judge them, because there are amazing things going on in this world, things that people would never even imagine. So thank you.
Oh, well, you're welcome. And my thanks to you, Steve, for stepping up. I'll be cautious when I say this, but I with the program that I do, that my wife and I started, and we started Fringe Radio several years ago. It's hard to believe it's been so many years already. There's a lot of people that are there, not a lot. That's the wrong comment, but there are some people in, whether it's the ufology field, whether it's in the paranormal field, whether it's in the cryptozoology field. There's so many different things that are trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to write a book. They're trying to ride the wave, and it always draws new interest. And of course, some people start to, and there's a lot of experts. There's a lot of great ufologists out there. But what I think is really good is new people like yourself, people that have a great background. You haven't been hunting UFOs your whole life, but you saw something on a vacation on a cruise ship. You're seeing stuff out right in your backyard, and you're taking the time and effort to go ahead and capture it and put it on YouTube. It takes time to edit those videos. It takes time to upload that stuff, and that's a great service. People, I'll drive as many people there as I can. Hopefully our listenership, which is pretty good size, will go there and take a look at your stuff, look at your videos, and it'll encourage them to step up to the plate when they see something unique, and not just talk about it, but actually do something. I saw something the other night. I'm talking about it. Now I need to do something. I need to capture it.
Right.
Within
right.
reason. I'm not retired. I don't have a ton of time, but I still have time to get out there and make a good effort. And you're capturing stuff that is worthwhile. Again, a flashing orb and a flying blurb is kind of a hard thing to do. But I mean, again, what you're capturing is so unique, and that's what people really need to take a look at that and model, if they have interest, model after what you're doing. And what Bill is doing, and Eric in Boston is doing, what a lot of these guys are doing. Model yourself after it and follow it and learn from it and start capturing it yourself.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, I'll tell you what, it isn't about money or anything. I just recently monetized the videos. I wanted them to be pure. I left them without any ads or anything for about a year. But, I did it because if I can make any money at all out of these videos, that money is going to go straight back into better equipment, and that's the only thing.
Right.
In terms of fame, I've had people accuse me of wanting to be famous and rich and everything. I'm not going to get famous or rich doing this, and quite frankly, I'm a pretty private person. I don't want to ever be famous. But the one thing I do want to do is that someday, hopefully while I'm still alive and my grandkids are old enough, and maybe disclosure really does happen, that my grandkids can say, you know what, my grandpa, he was part of that.
Right.
You know, he did his fair share, and it's a public service. It's, by the way, those videos, after about 3 months of monetizing them, I think they've made $47.
Wow.
And I've got thousands of dollars invested in this, so it's not about money. It isn't about money at all, and it isn't about fame. But I'll tell you what, it's real, and I just want people to know it's real. I'm not telling them what these are. All I'm saying is that there are amazing, amazing things flying around in our sky with impunity. Our government isn't doing anything about it. They don't chase them down, or, you know, you don't see jets chasing UFOs around Las Vegas. But something incredible is happening, and everybody ought to be demanding to get information about this, because I'll tell you what, if hoaxers, what they do, they make a video that's like a minute long, if that. And because it's too hard to keep going and doing all of that special effects. I've got hour-long videos of these things.
Right.
20 minutes, 10 minutes, however long it goes. Some of them I have to speed up because it goes for hours. But it is fascinating, and I can't think of doing anything else, even at the risk of, you know, having the Men in Black show up at my doorstep. You know, they haven't done it yet, which might be a hopeful sign that maybe they know that it's about time that some of this information is going to start getting out.
Right. Well, and I think as long as you're not causing trouble, you know, since I've done this show, I've gotten a lot of crazy emails. Some of them are really off the rocker. I take them all with a grain of salt, you know. But just, you know, all I can say is keep filming. I do have a couple other questions that were sent in, and I don't want to miss out.
Okay.
One of our good listeners in the state of Pennsylvania writes, our good listener Sky is her name, says, has anything odd, different, paranormal happened to Steve after his sightings? Time loss, anything like that?
No, I don't get the sense that anything like that ever happened. There's only one odd thing that I could ever even say, and I don't know why it happens. I think it's probably something that happens while I'm sleeping. Is in the last, 4 or 5 years, some mornings I can wake up and I have a tiny little mark on my left temple, and it's always that place, as if I pinched it. You know, it's probably the size of your toenail on your pinky toe, you know, and it's always there, and it's never on the right temple. It's always on the left, and I also am tired, and I don't know if that's because I was so tired or I have no idea, but Pat, I don't get the sense that I have ever been abducted or anything like that. I would think that I would even have the most remote memory of that, because I can remember things that happened when I was 4 years old. But, you know, I just don't get that. You know, I just don't think I've ever been abducted, and that maybe that little mark, somehow I'm doing something where I'm pinching my temple. You know, I don't know, but I don't get that sense.
I don't know. Well, and again, and that's a good question too. I mean, I do, you know, I sometimes do wonder, you know, if people that start delving into this a lot, especially when you're out there. Well, kind of like it's when you think about it, when you did your video on the cruise ship. That was a question I had. Did you did you get back to the cabin a few minutes later, or was an hour gone? You know.
Yeah. No, I've thought about it. No, I was out as long as I said I was. You know, after all this time, the one thing I'd probably like to say is, and this is probably very ignorant of me to say this, is first of all, I think there's multiple species of aliens that come to this planet, and I don't know what their agendas are, but, you know, I get the sense that I don't have anything to be afraid of with these guys if they are extraterrestrials, and that if they know about me, then I want to tell them I would love to be fully aware, fully awake, and I'll I'll actually volunteer to come on board one of those things. Let me come on and ask you guys some questions.
Right.
You know, I highly doubt that would ever happen, but I have lost any kind of fear that I have of them. You know, the ones that I see that are closer to home, they're beautiful. They're beautiful. And I have people say, you're nuts. These guys are evil, you know. And maybe I am nuts, you know. I don't know. But I would love to go on board one of those things. I would truly love it. You know, the one guy I did know about was Billy Meyer. I don't really know what to think about Billy Meyer. But the way he talks, there's some interesting stuff the man has to say. To me, his UFOs look kind of fake.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's just me. And am I the next Billy Meyer? No. I'm just a guy that, out of a city of 2 million people, I must be the first one to have this kind of perfect situation to be able to film from up high and put in the time every night to go out and do this. And I love it. I just love it.
Another question, our good friend Durhoff from the East Coast writes in, says, Steve, do you know of any UFO activity over the northern Colorado areas of Leadville or Leadville in Central City?
I do remember the one case that happened in Salida. The gentleman that filmed this large object, and I think it was in the 90s. I think he's since passed away. I'm from Alamosa, Colorado. I was born there. I was born not far from Leadville. The San Luis Valley there is supposedly a UFO hotspot, and always has been, and I've lived there for many years. Never saw a UFO while I was there, ever. I had to move to Las Vegas for that.
Interesting.
But I think Colorado is, just a hot spot. And that San Luis Valley near where Leadville is a pristine environment. It's one of the last ones anywhere. That valley is not just a mile high. It starts out at about 7,000 feet in elevation, goes up past 8,000.
Right.
And it's not very populated. The very first cattle mutilation happened there. It was a horse, Snippy, I think it was. That was in 1968 I remember the day because it was my grandma's birthday, September 7th, 1968. That horse turned up, just had been basically fine one day, and the next day they found it with all the typical markings of a mutilation, with the high, surgical tools and the whole bit. So never saw anything while I was there, and 26 years in Northern California, never saw a UFO. Las Vegas, if you're a UFO hunter, I'll tell people right now, come here,
come on down.
Bring your equipment, get up high, get a view of the entire valley. If you're here for even 2 or 3 days, I guarantee you're going to get some footage.
Yeah, just crazy. Steve, we got to wrap up in just a few. It's been an honor again to have you on tonight, and I'd love to get you back on as you collect videos. But all I can tell our listeners is that again, go check out Steve's website at ufosintheusa.com. The site's very well done. He's got everything broken out, so you're not digging through tons and tons of stuff. If you want to see some interesting stuff, he's got it put out. Just go click on it, and it takes you right to it. The quality of the videos are awesome. And what's your plans for the future, Steve? Just keep on recording?
Well, I'm just hoping that I can make a little money to keep investing in this equipment. I want to get a Celestron telescope now and rig it with camera so that I really can get